Tzu Chi volunteers continue to conduct damage surveys and distribute aid supplies for Southern California fire survivors. We look at some controversial issues regarding the construction of high-rise buildings in urban areas. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Margaret Lin. Thank you for joining us. A wildfire burned through the Sioma area in Southern California. Over 1,600 hectares of land was burnt, leading 8,700 residents to be evacuated. Tzu Chi volunteers have continued to conduct disaster relief work and hand out aid supplies for the fire survivors to help them through the harsh winter. The fire burned all the houses and then it continues to burn everything on the mountain.
The creek fire left disasters everywhere. Tzu Chi volunteers, accompanied by firefighters, visit every resident to make sure that they are safe. All the houses are destroyed by the fire. Some can hardly tell that it was a house from the ashes.
This is a bed, a bunk bed. This is a garage, and there is a kitchen.
It was scary, very scary. I just realized there's a big mess, you know, I have to clean up everything and find the right way to get it all cleaned up and removed and just continue on with life, you know.
There is also a resident of the area who only moved into his new house for a year and unfortunately watched his house burn down in the fire.
It was all around us. We walked out and everything was on fire. The neighbor across the street, our neighbor's house was on fire. The trees in front were on fire. So we run around back and jumped into the car. We backed out of the car and we started laying on the horn trying to wake up our neighbors. And within about 15 seconds to 30 seconds of that, this car was filling with smoke.
We brought some blankets and cash cards today. Right now, we gave out cash cards to people whose house is fully destroyed. For some others who have some furniture damaged or are out of electricity or half of their houses burned, we mostly provide them blankets and some cash cards as well.
For 5 days, volunteers visit each fire victims in the disastrous area that has nothing left, hoping to continue to provide supplies for more people.
Also about the report on Tzu Chi's disaster relief, in Mexico, Tzu Chi volunteers have held the last aid distribution for quake victims in San Gregorio. The volunteers help out at the distribution, knowing that Tzu Chi's seeds of love have been spread. Tzu Chi volunteers could accomplish the relief work in this country because of the help of local volunteers, who have found a new meaning in life as they volunteer with Tzu Chi to help their fellow countrymen. Today is December 14th. Here in Hauhula, we are working together with the local volunteers to reach the affected families.
Tzu Chi came to Hauhula to share their love and support, doing more than their share. In addition, they've inspired confidence.
Tzu Chi brought a sense of hope to Hauhula, reassuring us all that someone will always be there for us.
When we arrived, we began working with the local volunteers. A little by little, their confidence grew. That made the difference.
After all this time, the whole of the 2-month period, you really realize they really want to do this. They're here because they really want to volunteer.
It's a blessing to look into the eyes of the people as they receive the supply cards. They can visualize the way forward. They don't expect it, and it's coming. And then you hug them. Every time we see one family, everyone sings and cries because they feel that love.
Since Tzu Chi volunteers began to carry out disaster relief aid in Mexico, they've stayed. Tzu Chi's affinity with San Gregorio is the deepest. The last aid distribution is held at the church in San Gregorio.
San Gregorio Specialty Church has become our base here in Mexico. That's what I report to the master and says, I hope we can have the first event. We have no chance to come here to do it because so many families, but again, another miracle has happened, you know. Just yesterday, Trini and Tony say, oh, there's still a few hundred families there on the list, and they need help. So within 24 hours, we get this done. We kind of circle. We started from here, then we ended up here. So the mission kind of complete in a very sweet ending.
There are many people whose eyes and emotions express their gratitude to the foundation, to the master.
When one begins to take away the bad things in their soul, in their hearts, you really start to love one another. You start to care for others and think for them. It's marvelous. I'm going to read the message she sent. Dear Mexican friends.
I remember, so today one of the local volunteer coordinator, Trini, she called a bank, Mariachi, and I saw one of our volunteer, Flora, she was dancing happily with our volunteers. The first time we saw Flora, she had some mental shock after the earthquake, and today I saw her happily dancing with our volunteers. I think that's exactly what Tzu Chi mean to the local people.
But I always want to open up a branch in Mexico City. I get to know at least, well, you know, there's 13 master disciples here, and then we have probably more than 100 very good-hearted volunteers here. So I plan to come back here if Master approves to continue the mission.
I believe that Tzu Chi left many seeds of hope and seeds of love. They've taught us how to smile. This is just the beginning. In the aftermath of the earthquake in Mexico, besides holding aid distribution, Tzu Chi also provided free medical service for over 4,000 individuals. Seeing that this event has left residents with a smile on their face, medical volunteers also felt the joy of serving the less fortunate, helping them relieve the pain in their time of need. Let's hear from some of the volunteers who shared their feeling during the surveys.
Although the medicines that we give them may last maybe a week, and the material we give to them maybe last for 2 months, but our love will last forever.
So many outreach that I've been to, the fulfilling part is whenever the patient walk out with a smile. That means that we have enough done a good job, fulfill their dream.
We see that a lot of patients have financial difficulties. They can't afford to see a doctor. They can't get the medicine they need. They walk 1 to 2 hours to come here for medicine to control chronic diseases. It hurts me to see this. If the earthquake hadn't happened, they might still be able to afford their medicine.
When we put a needle for them, I know it's a pain, but they take it. They never complain, too much or too painful.
Come over from the yellow line. I'll take care of him. Don't need to register to come over here. The police cried when I saw the tears of the police. I felt that we're not doing enough.
I am very touched. I want to tell the volunteers that I'm so grateful for how they help us make this happen. Alejandra told me yesterday she might cry today. It's the last day, so I couldn't sleep last night. This is such a meaningful experience across the globe from where I'm from.
To see all this help that you're bringing, the lessons you're leaving with us, it's really surprising, touching. It makes me feel like I've grown spiritually in some way.
I appreciate the opportunity to come here. I learned a lot and deeply realized that if you have a chance to give, it's a blessing.
A patient of 75 years old, he told me about his dental problem, But before I even asked him to open his mouth, he took out from his pocket a lemon, and he gave it 2 hands. He gave it to me. So my tear drops after drop because they really appreciate what we do for them.
没有钱买食物，我碰到一个一天吃1餐。
They don't have money for food. I met a guy who has 1 meal a day. Many people came on an empty stomach from the night before till this afternoon.
I feel a little bit, there's a loss, you know, I was kind of in a way. Hoping we can see more.
Also about Tzu Chi's free clinic, but this time the event was held in the Philippines. The Tzu Chi Philippines chapter hosts the free clinic in San Mateo, Rizal Province, serving more than 2,000 people in one day. On this day, the mayor of San Mateo also came especially to express her gratitude for this free medical service, as she emphasized that many residents of this small town could finally receive medical treatments thanks to Tzu Chi's assistance.
Not until I came to this free clinic do I know that a tumor may grow in my throat if I delay the treatment.
42-year-old Elena Carcamo and her husband work as a street vendor to raise their 5 children. With a meager income, they are unable to afford the $66 to see a doctor. Tzu Chi Philippines chapter hosts the free clinic at the San Mateo National High School to help the underprivileged.
I have a hard time finding a job because I cannot pass the health exam.
On this day, Wilbert Estoya, who does us job, could finally relieve the pain he has endured for 3 years. Now he has fulfilled his dream of going abroad to work to provide more financial support for his parents. Among those who have benefited from this event is 70-year-old Guadalupe Santos. She has been arranged to receive a cataract surgery after having an eye examination. Her family feels happy for her.
We all hope this is her New Year's gift.
This free clinic has received strong support from local governments and the people.
They provided the place, they provided, you know, we need higher electricity requirements. They provided that.
Organization or grupo. It's very rare that a group or an organization that's willing to come to this small town to provide medical service at such a large-scale event.
General services,
Thanks to Tzu Chi's free clinic, residents in San Mateo can finally remove their ailments to live a better life. In recent years, many high-rise buildings have sprung up all around Taiwan. While these buildings are all perfectly legal, they tower over the urban landscape and disrupt the view which many were used to enjoying. This leads some experts to suggest we reconsider the cost and benefits of such developments. Here is our report.
每一栋房子以现在的法律来讲，全部都是合法的。 我们对于那个整体环境的美感，在相关计划里面呢，并没有落实。
当你在你小基地里面，你完全合法，你也看不到别人。可是当你在一个大环境里涵构去看的时候，就会发现这种事情。
Where have these urban landscapes gone wrong? Beauty and ugliness, who decides?
My profession includes helping people feel comfortable and pleasant. We have to find a way to reconcile designs, as all of my planning takes into account Tao and nature.
The Lanyang Museum spent 18 years choosing Chucheng's Wushi Harbor before it opened. Its outward appearance looks like it is emerging from the ground, as it is modeled after Ilan's most famous geographical feature, Cuesta. Light spills into this interior space, which takes an inspiration from the Louvre in France. There is granite and cast aluminum, with pieces being different in size, leading to 100 different types of shadows cast on the wall, indicating the ingenuity of the construction team.
The architects used Vivaldi's The Fourth Season as inspiration for this wall, coming up with different sizes based upon spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
This successful attempt to integrate with local cultural and natural landscapes led the Lanyang Museum to win the gold medal in man-made building category by the United Nations Environmental Program. Wushi rock landscape, but because of the construction of a tall building, it has taken on a completely different look.
Ilan has experienced several phenomena in recent years, such as many houses being built on farmland, and secondly is that in urban areas there are many high-rise buildings. These two factors have had a huge impact upon Ilan.
In the past, Ilan had severely restricted the height of buildings, which could not be more than 50 meters. However, in recent years, the scale of projects has been relaxed. In 2011, there were 9 projects taller than 50 meters in Jiaoxi, Luodong, Tucheng. This particular hotel in Tucheng's Wushi is 96 meters tall. Even though it has yet to be completed, it has become a new landmark. Although it passed the urban review plan and meets the requirements of being 300 meters away from the Lanyang Museum, though its height overshadows the entire Wushi harbor. Furthermore, this problem can now be seen throughout Taiwan.
Urban planning methods basically seek to confirm land use as well as the height and stability, but it doesn't forbid certain things such as color, material, or height. In fact, some of the most important considerations are actually coordination with the local landscape.
In 2015, the Landscape Act failed to pass the third reading in the legislature, meaning the only applicable regulations that apply are the National Land Use Planning Act, Coastal Zone Management Act, Wetland Management Act, as well as autonomous regulations of counties and cities.
If we can pass a Landscape Act as part of the Ministry of Culture's Cultural Preservation Act, then we can do such assessments of the landscape and do a lot to improve environmental aesthetics.
Our landscape is a common asset for all to share, and we should work to protect it. Governments should exercise responsibility and use existing laws and regulations to promote more comprehensive reviews and oversight to protect our beautiful skyline.
To hold a year-end blessing ceremony in Bosnia, 7 Tzu Chi volunteers formed a multinational European team with members from Italy, Vietnam, Singapore, and Germany to join up with 10 local volunteers in this country for celebrating this special event. Let's join them there.
Tzu Chi volunteers are busy arranging the venue with 2 local television stations on the scene. Tzu Chi volunteers came from Italy, Vienna, Germany, and even Singapore, all meeting in Bosnia.
Honorable ambience, very nice to see you again. Tzu Chi now come for a couple of years already to your city, try to do some help and some work.
In 2014, serious flooding in the Balkans and a disaster in Bosnia led Tzu Chi volunteers in Europe to issue emergency cash aid. This year, a year-end blessing is held for the first time in Salmak town.
I would like to continue leading the people to learn about Tzu Chi's 4 major missions and allow masters to know that Tzu Chi's spirit has taken root here.
The former city councilor has set up a Tzu Chi liaison office in his home as he hopes to locally cultivate Tzu Chi's spirit of caring for the poor.
Thank you.
In the end, this year-end blessing ceremony drew more than 100 people, including many young and old people like a big family.
In Taichung, Taiwan, a 69-year-old community volunteer once earned a lot of money when she was young. However, as she aged, she suffered from illnesses and her business also failed. At the lowest point of her life, Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to help. With the volunteers' help, she eventually got back on her feet and is even now volunteering in the community.
Community volunteer Xu Luanfang wipes the window with both dry and wet dusters. As someone who works mindfully, she has been through some tough times.
My business failed and so did my marriage. There were a lot of setbacks, which destroyed my youthful passion for life.
把我年轻时候的憧憬全部都一下子好像都摧残了。
When she was young, she earned more than $300 a day. As she aged, she suffers from illness and could not even pay her rent. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers help her get through the tough times.
She hopes that the volunteers can help her find a job so that she can support herself. She does not want to rely on other people's help.
Now she not only works at the market to support herself, she also volunteers in the community.
不够，还不够，这
I have not done enough. There is a lot to learn in Tzu Chi. You can also grow after you carry out the task. I feel that I've regained my youthful passion.
Feeling young again, she is seizing every moment to give of herself while cherishing her own blessings.
The weather is getting cold and many people like to use heating pads to warm their hands. The heating pad is advertised to be able to stay heated for 24 hours. However, it's heated because of a reaction involving iron powder. But actually, it's not environmentally friendly because it has to be thrown away after only one use.
The heating pad is convenient and easy to hold onto. It's always the best seller in the convenience store every year during the winter time. The components in it are iron powders, salt, vermiculites, and active charcoals. They heat up due to the redox reaction.
The iron goes through oxidation and became iron oxide. The iron oxide is like iron's getting rusty. Once it's rusty, we can't use it anymore. Therefore, we can only throw it away, and it's not environmentally friendly.
Normally, the iron powder can only be littered once it's used, even though it could be recycled for iron making. However, due to the high cost, there are hardly any factories willing to do so. Hence, the heating pad has caused more garbage to our environment.
大红豆、小红豆都可以一层一层的把它摆进去。
Red beans, salts, aged gingers, and fennels. All these are easy to get ingredients. Put them all into the bag and heat it up in the microwave for 2 to 4 minutes. The homemade heating pad is finished.
The aged ginger can help to reduce the coldness and can warm up our stomach. We also added some phenols, which can improve our body circulation. Then we put some red beans and also salts to increase the osmotic pressure. After we mix them up, the pad can stay heated for a longer time.
The heating pad which is sold at the stores can stay heated for 24 hours, but can only be used once. This homemade heating pad can only stay heated for 15 minutes at the temperature of 50 degrees Celsius. However, it can be reused for about a week. The doctor suggests putting the heating pad under the armpit, on the neck, or on the top of the belly button, so that the heating effect can be better.
Tucson Elementary School in Taichung, Taiwan spent the money they have saved for water and electricity usage on remodeling their campus. Recently, the school published the remodeling process into a book to share with the public. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.